Hey, this is Prophet Dr. Chaz with Straight Talk. It's been a while since I talked or said anything. Um, kind of just wanted to stay off of social media and off the YouTube for a while, but I guess I'm gonna make a comment anyway in relationship to the Will Smith slap, because it's very popular and I think it's going to be very damaging. Not to Will Smith as much as it is to the community at large because of his popularity. Uh, I think as everybody knows, it's wrong. Violence is always wrong, as everybody say. There's a time for violence. The Bible says there's a time for war. So we know that violence does exist, and there's a time for it. That wasn't the time. He wasn't being threatened um, to where he had to use any type of violence, which tells me that he is definitely irrational in his thinking, and he has gotten to the point to where he doesn't have any self-control. So he lost control, no doubt. Um, and I always like to address things in relationship to how they count and how it's related to in relationship to the spiritual aspect of things, the way God would see it. Does God look at this situation and condemn them in their action? No, God doesn't. Will God condemn Will in his action? No, he won't, because Will can simply ask for forgiveness from God like he asked for apology. And people tend to apologize. You see that just by what he did when he got his Oscar. You apologize, you get a lot of people to forgive you. That's easy to be done. So that's not a big issue. And God is the same. God forgives very easily. So it's not a matter, he's not an evil man. So, but there is consequences and repercussions in relationship to your actions, that as any actions that you do, you are going to answer for them. And most of the time we answer to man, we don't answer to God, because God doesn't get involved with physical things on earth as much. But the damaging, what I would like you to understand, is what's going on inside of here. That's where God is dealing with what's going on inside of your spirit, man, what's going on inside of your head. What's going on inside of Will is damaging to Will. It's damaging to his soul, and it's damaging to what he does because of his popularity that affects people. See, we have to give account for everything we do. The Bible says every idle word that you speak, you'll give account in the day of judgment. So guess how much you're going to give account for your actions, and you will give account for your actions. I don't care who it is, no matter who your fame and your fortune and your money will not stop you from giving account for your actions. And he'll give account for his actions. Will it be real steep? I don't know. I doubt that very much. The worst thing that could hurt him is for Chris Rock, like I guess Jim Carrey said, to file a $200 million lawsuit, because he will get paid. Ain't no doubt about that. We all know that Will got money, so Chris Rock can get paid in this situation. So that would be the most damaging he could be done. The criminal aspect of it, it's a misdemeanor assault, and it won't be a big deal, and it'll be blowed out. He won't do no time and nothing else. May give a fine and have to do a little community service, and I doubt if they do that to him because he's too big. Or you'd be kicked out the Oscar. Who cares? He don't care about being kicked out the Oscar. They was going to boycott the Oscar a few years ago, the last one a few years ago anyway. So they don't care about that, being kicked out the Oscar. But it is important to you to know that it's going to be very, very damaging to people. See, people don't know what to do most of the time in life, and most people follow other people, and they follow people that they think are important, that are valuable to the world. And Will is valuable. He's become a valuable person to the world. So when you do something, you affect a lot of people, and nobody really wants to really talk about it, but it's the people you affect, not Chris Rock. Chris Rock is also famous. He ain't affected. He can recover with this, and he'll get his compensation. He'll do whatever he needs to do. and it won't be a big problem for him. But now it's a problem for the children of him. They got affected worse because their daddy got slapped on live TV, you know. But even worse than that, the rest of the world is affected. And the younger generation is affected. It ain't affected me. I'm wise. I know how to understand and deal. And a lot of people are wise enough to deal with the situation. But there's younger people coming up that they deal with it in a different way. You know, the people I deal with mostly is young folks involved in gangs and criminal activities and stuff. That affects them differently. They like, yeah, man, more homeboy clocked him, you know, and they use more, you know, violent words and so on. And to them, it's, you know, that's the world, you know, and that's their world they live in. Because if they do it, they get time. They get arrested and they do time. And a lot of them do serious time for just an assault. And depending on what state and where you're at, it could turn into, you know, a serious, where you do some serious time. I mean, it depends on. If a normal person would have got up there and was able to get to him and slap him, which they never would have reached him, but if they would have, they'd be in jail. They'd be doing a good stretch. Okay? So, with that being said, I simply just want to close this out with letting you know that you can't do something without the spirit man being really, really, really affected. He's you know, it wasn't a case of the simple he got mad because he said something about his wife. It was a buildup. It was something that was lying within him, within his spirit man and his soul, and he needs to reach in and get healing behind that. He needs to do that. He's probably been needing it for a long time. He just hasn't been, you know, dealing with it appropriate, and it's very hard to deal with. You know, I always talk about the spirit, but the spirit is extremely hard to deal with. Okay, because you can't see it, touch it. You know, you don't know what it is, and when you don't know what something is, then you don't know how to resolve the situation. That's why you depend on God. You don't depend on God, and then you depend on yourself, and these are the actions you get out of yourself. No matter if you're wealthy like Will Smith or not, your actions are eventually going to bring you to a fall. That's why the Bible says pride comes before a fall, because that's all that really was it was pride. His pride was hurt. He felt embarrassed. It wasn't just for her. It was for him too. He felt embarrassed. He's been feeling that probably some time, and his pride got in a way that made him cross the line. And when he crossed the line, he did what he did. All right, that's it. Remember, feed the spirit, starve the flesh. That simply means that somebody like Will Smith didn't, you know, sit down and get into his soul man and understand what his situation was and resolved it. And because of that, because he didn't really feed the spirit, the flesh took over, took control, and it will take control of you, and you do something that is very, very disrespectful or damaging to you and other people around you. Listen, y'all, this goes deeper than Will Smith and Chris Rock. It does go deeper, and it goes deeper because of who they are and what the world thinks of them. Okay? We got to always take consideration our children. Got to take consideration the next generation. You get to the point like Will, and you didn't take that in consideration. He didn't take his kids in consideration, which is grown, and he didn't take Rock's kids in consideration, and he didn't take the world in consideration. He just moved in his own physical actions, the works of the flesh, the mind of the flesh, the understanding of the flesh, and the spirit man wasn't able to help him or refrain him from stopping it. All right, this is Dr. Chaz, the prophet, and I'm out. And y'all, remember, like I said, feed the spirit, starve the flesh.